This book is regarded as one of the best biographies on Jinnah. Jinnah of Pakistan is a biography of Muhammad Ali Jinnah by Stanley Wolpert. Wolpert described Muhammad Ali Jinnah as few individuals significantly altered the course of history. Fewer still modify the map of the world. Hardly anyone can be credited with creating a nation state. Muhammad Ali Jinnah did all three. A man who through his sheer determination almost single-handedly changed the map of the world and created the largest Muslim nation in the world. Jinnah served as the leader of the All India Muslim League from 1913 until Pakistan's independence on 14th August 1947, and then as Pakistan's first Governor General until his death. Jinnah studied at Bombay University and at Lincoln's Inn in London. He then ran a successful legal practice in Bombay. He was already a member of the Indian National Congress, which was working for autonomy from British rule when he joined the Muslim League in 1913. The League had formed a few years earlier to represent the interests of Indian Muslims in a predominantly Hindu country, and by 1916 he was elected its president. Jinnah was a genius lawyer, a man of words and character, an expert negotiator, an outstanding charismatic leader, and a wise statesman. He was humiliated and betrayed several times in his struggles, first for the United India and then for the equal representation of Muslims in the Union, and finally for Pakistan. However, his sheer will, talents, stamina, dedication, and political acumen helped him achieve what all call nothing but Hellenization of an egotist. This book sheds light on the interpersonal dynamics of powerful individuals and how their egos, personal preferences altered the course of history. For example, throughout the struggle of the independence of India, British governors and viceroys would make crucial decisions at major crossroads, following their own personal biases. Some were pro-Congress, others pro-League, some supported the division, others promoted the union. The book exposes a complex web of Indian politics that often left British politicians bewildered in their attempts to negotiate a solution that was acceptable for both the Congress and the Muslim League. Nehru, Gandhi, and Jinnah all had developed strong opinions about each other by the end. In 1946, Viceroy Wavell tried another round of negotiations between Congress and League by inviting them to travel to London and speak with British officials. Nehru declined the invitation. However, Jinnah agreed and offered to bring along Liaquat Ali Khan. The Viceroy pleaded Nehru to reconsider, and he finally agreed to participate. When Jinnah learned that Nehru is coming, he declared that he is not coming anymore. What a bunch of people, Wavell noted in his famous diary. Eventually, after much pleas, Jinnah agreed to travel with them. This book also shed light that how Jinnah transformed as a reaction to the experience he encountered as a politician. Initially, as a young nationalist, Jinnah, who supported the United India, changed into a formidable opponent of the United India over the course of 40 bitter years. However, what did not change about him were his personal qualities such as integrity, honesty, willpower, and discipline. A minority within a minority, a physically frail man alone and powerful like a Himalayan peak, changed the course of history. His doctor was surprised to discover how emaciated he was when examining him in his last days, commenting that his emaciation matched only the worst cases he had seen in prisoners of war in Singapore. Jinnah had given even the last drop of his blood to the cause of Pakistan. There were at least 3 murder attempts on him throughout his life by the hardliner Muslims who thought he had betrayed them at several occasions by negotiation with Congress or British government. Here are the interesting facts about Jinnah. Jinnah was very rebellious of the traditional schooling. His parents had hard time keeping him in a school. The young Jinnah would rather enjoy horse riding with his friends. His curious and agile mind was not satisfied with what the school had to offer. There is a mural in the Great Hall in Lincoln's Inn that has pictures of famous lawgivers. One figure is the green robe is of Prophet Muhammad. This mural inspired Jinnah to enroll in Lincoln's Inn. Jinnah loved the theatre and wanted to be an actor. In fact, in London, he had signed a contract with a company and had sent a letter to his parents back in Karachi seeking their blessings. However, the reply came but with a bad news. His father announced the death of his mother and wife and forbid him to go on the path of acting. He had already disappointed his father by abandoning family business and becoming a barrister. His father told him, "Don't betray your family." The line stuck with him and he abandoned his dream. From 1937 onwards, Jinnah started wearing Jinnah cap and sherwani. That milestone year solidified the demands for a separate nation for Muslims, and the year also brought symbolic change in Jinnah's attire. Jinnah was one of the most well-dressed individuals of his time. He was known to have never worn the same tie again. His personal hygiene was meticulous. Before delivering 25th annual address of League in Lucknow, where thousands of people were waiting for him, Jinnah tried on the Samoor cap of Nawab Ismail Khan. He appeared with the headgear in front of the masses, and from that day onwards, this rather unknown headgear became the famous Jinnah cap. Wolpert wrote about Jinnah that he was greatly inspired by the liberalism of Morley, an ardent disciple of Mill. Jinnah also read Shakespeare. Jinnah, an unmatched, incorruptible, unpurchasable, and inspirational leader whom the sons and daughters very rightly call the father of the nation, Baba-e-Qaum. Jinnah was not portrayed in this book just an epitome of perfection, but as an ordinary human being who possesses certain sentiments and feelings. This book reveals Jinnah's relationship with many significant people, including his wife, Ruti Bai. The relationship between Nehru and Jinnah remained strained, as both considered each other as arch enemies. Gandhi, being much sensible and a cool-tempered man, always tried to establish cordial relations with Jinnah, though this remained impossible as both disagreed on certain major issues. Stanley Wolpert's book takes the reader to the hometown of Jinnah, Karachi, and follows him to London, Bombay, Lahore, New Delhi, Nagpur, Amritsar, Simla, Calcutta, Lucknow, Srinagar, Peshawar, Quetta, and Ziyarat. Jinnah failed many times throughout his career but always gained his objective. He was a tolerant, patient, and a hopeful person who dealt with many failings, loneliness, an estranged marriage, and a disease which he never revealed publicly, but did not let these obstacles come in the way of achieving his goal, Pakistan. Regarding Jinnah's marriage with his wife, Ruti, the daughter of a famous and wealthy Parsi businessman, Sardin Shah, Jinnah loved her immensely. Ruti also cherished and adored Jinnah just as much that she gave up her family and religion just to marry Jinnah. In the early days, the marriage proved to be very successful, but the winds changed their direction as Jinnah became a workaholic and neglected his wife. Regarding the death of Ruthie, the funeral was painfully slow ritual. Jinnah sat silently through all of its 5 hours. As Ruthie's body was being lowered into the grave, Jinnah, as the nearest relative, was the first to throw the earth on the grave. He broke down suddenly and wept and sobbed like a child for minutes together. That was the only time when I found Jinnah betraying some shadow of human weakness. Regarding decision making, Jinnah said, "Think 100 times before you take any decision, but when that decision is taken, stand by it as one man." Jinnah's only supporter who stood by him throughout his life was his younger sister Fatima Jinnah, who gave up her dentistry career to support her brother. Jinnah's only daughter was Dina Wadia from Ruti. During the last years of his life, when he was on the brink of achieving Pakistan, Dina, a young girl, expressed her desire to marry a Parsi boy to her father. Jinnah completely refused to accept this. Jinnah told her, "There are millions of Muslim boys in India, and you could have anyone you choose." Dina at this time reminded his father that there were millions of Muslim girls in India. Why didn't you marry one of them? Angry at his daughter, both of them after this addressed to each other as Mr. Jinnah and Mrs. Wadia, which shows the heated up relation between the two. So during the course of life, Jinnah lost his wife not only because of her demise, but also because of their estrangement, and then he also lost his only daughter. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was for Muslim what Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru combined were for modern India. Inspirational father and first head of state, Jinnah began his career as the Indian National Congress ambassador of Hindu-Muslim unity, but ended it 40 years later as the architect of the partition that split Pakistan away from India. Islam expects every Muslim to do this duty, and if we realize our responsibility, time will come soon when we shall justify ourselves worthy of a glorious past. Fatima to dine with them on Friday, July 25th, and as Campbell Johnson recalled, it was quite a small and informal affair, comprising only house guests and some of Mountbatten staff. Jinnah completely monopolized the conversation by cracking a series of very lengthy and generally unfunny jokes. When Mountbatten tried to even out the conversation by talking to the guests near to him and leaving Jinnah to tell one of his stories to Lady Mountbatten, Jinnah broke off and interrupted across the table with, "I think Mountbatten would like to hear this one." It is customary for the Viceroy representing the king to precede his guests too, and from the dining room. But immediately this dinner was over, the Jinnahs got up and at the same time as their excellence and walked out with them. Jinnah, of course, considered himself no less than Lord Mountbatten at this point, the Governor-General of his own dominion, the first person of Asian birth ever to achieve a rank of Commonwealth power. July 9, 1967. In 1964-65, the Madre Millat tried to follow in her brother's political footsteps by running for President of Pakistan against Field Marshal Ayub Khan. She ran a vigorous campaign as the candidate for Ayub's united opposition and won great support in the East, but she was defeated because of Ayub's basic democracy technique of undemocratic election. After that, she resumed her former life of luxurious isolation, spending her final years in virtual solitude and reflecting on the remarkable man to whom she had devoted herself. Swallow his pills. Jinnah lay in bed quietly all day, listless, depressed. Fati, I am no longer interested in living. The sooner I go, the better.